Hello, this is the latest LEGO Marvel Avengers Quinjet set for 2023. It comes with 795 pieces, and I started the build on the JANG channel on YouTube and did most of the build live over on Twitch. I paid $100 US for this, and if you're interested in buying it, I've got it tagged on the video for you. This comes with 5 minifigures, which I will say right now is the incorrect number of them. And right from the start, you may notice that there's something dramatically wrong about this per the title of the stream. You might think this is clickbait because this is not showing Avengers stuff all over it. Well, here's all the Avengers stuff. It comes on a separate sticker sheet. They actually give you 2 sticker sheets, so you can choose between doing it Shield style or doing it Avengers style, pre or post Avengers formation and branding. Stand is included, I'm happy to report, and you do not need to use the stand because this does also have some nice landing gear on it that work out pretty well. Well, let's get in and look at some details a little bit closer, and I'll show you the minifigures later as usual. Starting from the front. I like the front. I like it a lot. These are Speed Champion style 6 wide canopies on the side or windshields on each side, and this is a much older piece across the top. Just everything about the shape here, down into there, up to there, and then across, all that is good to me. And I also like this nose. I don't particularly like this little detail in here. It just feels like it has a little bit too much texture or too many different types of texture with the clips and then also the studs in there. You could try putting some tiles over that potentially, but I think tiles might make it look a little bit too chunky, but that's really nitpicking. A small sticker used here on the front. Well, it doesn't do a whole lot, but I like so much about this. It feels insect-like, insect/raptor. It's accurate enough, I think. And yeah, it makes me happy. Got the second canopy up here, which is also a relatively recent one, thanks to Speed Champions. Thank you very much. And then you have some pretty good shaping around the sides. This takes a lot of it takes a lot of shortcuts in order to get some of the shaping in there. Like this here is not attached. It's not held in place. It can still move around, which I guess is fine. That's actually kind of a decent look there, but yeah, the ends here, the wingtips, can just be freely moved, including bending them all the way down. And well, why do I have to see those colors in there? It also feels like another shortcut using more of the same color of pieces throughout the inner build of that. Would have liked a different color just for the looks. More stickers out towards the ends. The stickers don't match the gray. The gray of the stickers do not match the gray of the plastic all that well, but I do like the shaping of these wings a lot, and that includes the wingtips, especially once they're properly, sorry about the focus going in and out here. It has a little bit of trouble with so much gray for some reason today, especially when they're properly angled. I think just getting them at the right angle has a really nice feel to it, a nice finished look. I like the second portion back here. Underneath these pods, we'll take a look at this from the underside, but this does not look good from the top. Much better from the underside though, when you can see the trans light blue colored radar dish pieces. You know, it has a nice repulsor appearance to it. Other things underneath here that don't look so great. Well, you got this, the landing gear is like all visible there on the side. It does obviously fold up. It's in its retracted form right now. When it comes down, the gear are good from a structural perspective. Well, you know, it's simple enough, but it definitely works really well on both sides. And I'll show you this on the ground. But then once they're down, sorry about the focus again, leaves this huge hole going onto the inside of the thing. The rest of the side of the fuselage is fine to me. You know, it looks about right. This is the little turret, the chin turret, which can angle up and down, and then you can also retract it away if you want to, like so, which is also useful when you put this into its landed mode with the nose gear that comes down and then locks forward like that. Well, from this lower angle, you can also see a little bit of the window that's shown here for when they're landing or if they're seeking things that are on the ground down below. I personally don't like this black strip right here. Doesn't feel good to me. While we're looking from a lower angle, I'll go ahead and rotate this back around to the back. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Directly from the side, these huge holes that are left there. Even with studs on top, you know, again, feels like a little bit of a shortcut was definitely taken there. The ramp is able to come down. It gives you some access to the rear. Got a couple of little tool racks in the back just to hold on to some accessories, but we'll look at the inside in just a minute. I want to show you a little bit more of this here. which I think is good. The tail feathers, I think, look good and feel good. They have surprisingly simple builds to them, but the shaping is effective, and I like the engine inlets, especially their angle right there. Just a small sticker used here, small sticker used on the fin, but the angling there, you know, it just goes where it needs to go, and then it stops. Another place where possibly a little bit of a shortcut was taken, because this is not locked down, so you can easily open that up. That's not intended, but you know, again, it rests where it should be. But and it's right, but you know, I think that if there was more budget, more parts budget for this, they would have had something to lock that into place. Just in general, this doesn't feel quite as finished in fit and finish as, for example, the Benatar ship did, even though the look here is good. The way the stand works is really simple. This just fits right into a square hole right there, and then you can just put this down on the ground. There's no adjustability with the stand, but this is what the ship plane thing looks like on the ground, which is respectable. It has a little bit of forward rake to it, a little bit of forward angle on the ground. Get these angled a little bit better, maybe something like that. Yeah, all this here silhouette is very nice, very nice. And there's enough strength definitely in the gear that I'm not worried about anything bending and sagging over time. It makes for a really good presentation just like this. No complaints of it on display. To get full access to the interior, the whole roof opens up like so, and then also the canopy here can be lifted up like so. In the cockpit, you have just a couple stickers on either side and a console up front, which you can just barely see up under there. Yeah, it's just a little 1x2 thing, but this has really simple seating for 2 people that can be put there with the greatest of ease. You cannot open up these side bits easily. The whole assembly can be pulled off, but I don't recommend it. It's definitely not part of the normal play process to take these off. I wish that these would open up to get you just a little bit more access for fingers to get in there. Speaking of which, back here, there's a lot of space. And if I open the rear again, bring the ramp down, you can see a little bit better the clips there for some minifig accessories on either side. And you can see just how large of a space that is inside of here for the size of the model. But you can't really effectively use this space right here. It's a little bit too short for minifigs unless they're sitting down. But how do you get them to sit down? You can get one to sit down facing back. It's a little bit awkward. I know, you know, smaller hands, young hands would fit in there better, but I mean, my fingers aren't that thick, and I feel like I have a little bit of trouble. Like these seats right here can be easily accessed. You got 6 seats, which is appropriate. You know, it's more than you need. But this beam right here, which is a structural member, I don't know if it's compressed or tensioned. I think it's tensioned a little bit on this. Just really messes with access to the interior, because I can get to the rear seats okay. Front seats are fine in the cargo space, but the middle ones are tough. You got to kind of put a figure in there in a seated position and then get your fingers around this. This can be left off, but it's just necessary for Lego's own, you know, from a structural perspective, you can get away with it not being there, but it's necessary for Lego's own standards for durability and strength. So yeah, there's so much room, but it's not well utilized, not easy to utilize in my opinion. And of course you can just blow out those seats and use this for cargo. But again, still, unless your cargo is nice big chunks that can fit, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's almost there, but doesn't quite land it. Looking at minifigs, here's an Iron Man, a Cap, and a Thor. Iron Man, of course, has the newest generation of helmet piece, which is able to open up, but it's a little bit controversial. I personally think that it's just fine, but it is different from what we had before, and you know, different is always going to rub some folks the wrong way, and some have legitimate concerns about its shape. I personally think it works out just fine. The Cap, I worry about most, anytime I see a Captain America of this style, I worry about most the skin printing. This one is a little bit thin, but it's much better than it's been before. You know, it could be a little bit more opaque. I can see a little bit of blue coming through there. It's a little bit pale as well, I guess because of the blue that kind of works against the slightly tan color, but it's not bad. The torso prints for these are all good in my opinion. Cap is really good. Thor is really good. Everything, all the printing for the Iron Man here is really good. This one almost looks good enough that it could have used some arm printing as well. Looking at the tops of these, you notice that there's the obvious mold and stress mark right there at the top. And similarly, Cap has one here, which I don't personally like to see at all. The shield is printed okay. Good to see that. Printing around the backs of the torsos is good. Printing on the side of Cap's helm is good. That's good there. Single hole cape here is just a lot easier to deal with for kids especially. Do have the alternate faces using the same Tony Stark head that we've had, you know, a billion times by now. But in general, I feel like these are all okay at least. And they do include a hairpiece for Tony Stark, but they do not include one for Cap, which is fine because of the style of head and the way that that's designed here. Wouldn't really work with the hair with the balaclava on. And then here is an excellent Black Widow, in my opinion. That arm printing is nice. Torso printing is also nice. This little bit of skin tone for the neck is not too bad, could be better. And it's also an excellent Loki, in my opinion. Primary colors for the body and legs is the dark pearl gray, or gunmetal gray, and just the printing on there is fantastic. I think they did a new mold for his helm. It was pointed out on a stream when I was building this today on Twitch that it's shinier than it used to be. It's still soft, but it has a new finish on it. I believe that's a brand new mold. Using the Lord of the Rings weapon piece is appropriate shape-wise for his scepter, but I miss having a gem on it. I want to see a gem. I really do. He also has the single hole cape style, which is flexible, easy for kids to put on, but definitely some adults prefer the hard style, prefer the two hole style as well. Alternate face for Loki there, alternate face for Black Widow. Yeah, these I think are better than the other three. They also include this hairpiece for Loki, which is glorious. And it's just right. And it's nice to see that as well. This is a very small number of leftover pieces for a set of this size. And here's what the sticker sheet that I used looks like after it's done. The layout is exactly the same as on the Avengers version, but the Avengers version has the correct numbers on it. This version does not have the right numbers on it. It doesn't have the same numbers on it, so you need to kind of cross-reference between the two and be careful if you do choose the Shield version that the relative positions of the major wing stickers need to be reversed. You'll see it when you see it. Just be careful about that. There's also one additional thing that they did for Iron Man here. They included a few extra pieces, 4 pieces exactly, for this. His little water spout. Now it's just showing him blasting along. But one of the pieces included there is gray. It's because it actually attaches to the Quinjet on your left. Let me talk about value for a minute and then get to the rest of my subjective thoughts about the whole set. So again, this is $100 US, 100 euros, and it's 90 pounds UK. The closest thing to compare this to, I think, reasonably, also from the Marvel universe, would be the Benatar, or the Guardians ship that came out not too long ago. You know, the orange one with the display stand. It's like a play set, but also a nice display set. Not quite that Ultimate Collector's Series level, but that was $160 US. 160 before the most recent price increases or 2 occurred. 160. This is 100. The size of the two is somewhat similar. The Guardian ship is longer. I forget if it's a little bit wider. I don't still have that one built, but the fuselage is very similar in overall size. And I feel like this isn't that much less kit than that one, the Benatar, was, except when it comes to the interior. There's very little interior to this. And just when you feel this, it feels relatively light in weight. I think that all turns out just fine for the significantly lower price of this. So relative to that one, I'd say value here is pretty good. If you look at the price to part ratio, if that's all that you care about, which is not smart, it's going to look really bad. That's why I don't look at the price to part ratio, because it has, especially in recent years, not meant anything. You know, tiny pieces, the ton of tiny pieces can give you an incredible price to part ratio, but if the total amount of stuff that you actually get and can use is itself tiny, it's really dense, great, but you can't do anything with it and it's tiny, it doesn't feel good. This clearly tried to make the most of the available size that it could to accommodate the figures without wasting pieces. It's definitely lacking in interior fine details, and the fine details were really nice, for example, on that Benatar. But I think that was, I personally feel like that was a worthy compromise here. And yeah, this being as light as it is, but still having a decently strong outer shell. This is super swishable. One of the most swishable things that I've come across in a while from Lego, although these little bits underneath move around a bit. So I think value here is okay. Would I like it to be cheaper? Of course. In 2023, could it be significantly cheaper than it is? Not too much. I could see this discounted 10 to 15%. Sure, after a while, but I don't see this going on like 30 to 50% off. I definitely don't. That just seems unreasonable to me. So continue with just my subjective feelings about it. From most angles, I like this a lot. Grabbing it and doing like this, swishing it, I like it a lot. Again, some things in here that really speak to me. It's very satisfying. Some things in here that really speak to me. They're very satisfying. This even, back here, that section is good. The interior, it's not great. It's definitely not great. The fact that the gear are usable and deployable, and you got as many wheels as you do at the rear, very nice. Put that turret away at the cannon. Flip this down. That's nice. I like the retractability. It's good for being able to put it on display on the stand, and it looks good on the ground to me. Those holes are just kind of awful. The holes in the fuselage, even when the gear are up, still seeing that the way that it is doesn't feel good to me. So definitely there are some things about this that I don't like, and not all of them were. I don't think all of them were compromises for the sake of the part budget and all that. A little bit difficult to get access to the entire interior space, including from the back as well as from the top. The cockpit area is fine, that works, but the rest of it has a lot of impacted space in it. The minifig selection. I am not a minifig guy. If you've watched me for any amount of time, you know that I'm not a big minifig collector, and I'll never be one of these folks who'll tell you, well, yes, this costs $100, but it comes with this minifigure here, which, you know, as soon as this is retired, that minifigure is going to be worth more than the whole set, so you've got to buy it. People only want to buy this entire set for $100 to get that one minifigure. Bogus. Bogus. I will never think that way. If you want that one minifigure, go to Bricklink and get it parted out from somebody. Maybe it'll cost you 20 bucks. It's not going to cost you $100. But I'm going to say that the minifig selection here is lacking. They could have had the whole team. Did they do that intentionally because they would have had to do a big fig Hulk? Because like just doing a Bruce Banner probably wouldn't have been enough, and a minifig Hulk probably wouldn't have been acceptable to a lot of people. Although I've liked the minifig Hulks that they've done in the past, just since they do big figs these days, they kind of need to continue doing that. And then he would not have fit inside of here, and it just would have thrown everything off. But still, for a set that displays this way, that presents itself this way, it kind of feels like they need to have the full Avengers team, even if they weren't all able to fit in there. You know, put a little hook, a handle on the bottom for Hulk to hold on to and just swing or something. He can't fit in the back either. Yeah, compromise, but still, instead of including Loki here, I would have preferred to see the entire team. So that's a little bit of a miss. All in all, though, pretty much what you see is what you get. I don't think there are any major surprises here in terms of what you would experience buying this and owning it versus what you can see on video here right now. Other than the fact that it is as light as it is, and who knows, you might actually have fingers that work better with this space here. So you may have a little bit better experience with it than I did. I doubt you'll have much of a worse experience with it than I did, because I do think that I've done a fair job of showing you what this is like from different angles. I mean, even from the underside, like, this is not bad. you know, all things considered, I don't like the look of anti-studs, especially on plates, but this doesn't have a ton of different colors in there. So yeah, there's not a whole lot to hate about this. Some things to dislike, there's some misses, but I don't think it's bad. I definitely don't think it's bad. I feel like it's kind of worth it. I'd like it to be a little bit cheaper, but I'm happy enough with it that I'm satisfied with the purchase, and including a stand, even though it doesn't have the ability to move all around and give you different angles and everything, it's a big value add. Definitely a big value add. Adds a lot of respect to the model for people of any age, whether you're an adult, you're a kid at the lowest end of the potential range that would be able to build this at all. Still, you know, put this on your shelf, on a desk or something, on the stand, just elevates it literally and figuratively, and it's a good choice. I think I've covered all of my thoughts about it, and I'm gonna turn it back over to you to make your own decisions, because that's what I do. I'm not here to tell you you must do something unless it's really, really, really good, and I feel like you're gonna be missing out on a lot of goodness if you don't get something. Thank you for watching though. Hope this did help you to make your own decisions. I've got a lot more videos to bring you, a lot more content, so I will continue to do more live builds, mostly on Twitch, a little bit on YouTube on the JANG channel, and of course lots more reviews right here. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.